Winners Win Live. I'm Christopher Coakley, president of Surge 365, and I just want to spend a few minutes with you this morning. I'm going to kind of go through an article that I ran across. I ran across an article that said 14 things you need to do immediately to be a multimillionaire. And as I read them, I started to reflect as to whether they were true. Are these things I actually did in my lifetime, and how did I apply some of this stuff to my life and to this business? And so I'm going to share some of that with you this morning. But let me start with a little housekeeping. First of all, guys, make sure your sites are active. Make sure that everybody in your team stay active so they can be a part of our stimulus drawing every week, where we pull 5 names of people that we give 12 months of free business overhead. 12 months, they do not have to pay the $99 monthly fee, so they get to focus on building their business completely free of worrying about paying the overhead. They have the option that if they're financially stable, that they can pass it forward and give it to someone else. But guys, like anything, you got to be in it to win it. I would love to win the lottery, but I don't play. So I never ever sit around thinking they're going to call my house one day and say I won millions of dollars. See, in order for you to win, you got to be in it, and so you make sure that you stay active, make sure everybody in your team stays active, and every Friday you watch out and see if we call your name. Hey, another thing is right now we're still running the special where you can join our business and get the top product, the top opportunity, a product for the $4.99, and you get 3 months free, which means it's the equivalent of getting our top product for $1.99 when you think about it. And so make sure that you're letting people know that this is the best time to get started with us. You can get our top product for the equivalent of $1.99 when you actually think about it, because you're going to pay the $4.99, and then for 3 months you don't have to pay a monthly fee. Hey, and if you get started in our tip product, that's $2.99. You don't have to pay the monthly for 2 months, which means that's the equivalent of getting started for $99 a month. When you think about it, $2.99, and then you don't pay the next 2 months. So that's $99 a month for the first 3 months. That is costing you to get started, guys. So the price right now is absolutely phenomenal when you think about with the special. And you get credit for every single month towards the rewards trip 12 months from now, which, guys, we don't know exactly when travel is going to be absolutely open with all of the different borders to all of the different countries, but I think it's safe to assume that 12 months is probably a good period of time for you to start planning a free rewards trip so you can take your family and go celebrate the fact that you made it through the toughest part of this pandemic. Everybody's healthy and everybody's strong, and you go really enjoy yourself on a vacation. That's what I'm praying for. That's what I'm hoping for. If it isn't in 12 months, then you still have your rewards trip until you can actually use it. But I'm hoping and praying that it isn't longer than 12 months before we can start to enjoy the beaches of somewhere beautiful again. So that's something that we're absolutely looking forward to and hoping for. So let me get into it today. I'm gonna cover, like I said, these 14 things. I'll probably do 7 today and then 7 another time. I don't want this to be too long of a training unless I'm really on a roll and it looks like I can get through all 14 this morning. But these principles, guys, are the same principles I learned coming up in this industry from the mentors that I've had, and so you've probably heard me say some of these things at some point before, just probably not put together this way and in this order. So the first one being, you got to invest at least 10% of your income in yourself. Now, guys, you have to understand something. Your game plan to become successful, multimillionaire, whatever it is an all life inclusive game plan. What do I mean by that? I mean that whatever income you make from whatever sources you're making it, that's all counted as one pot. And so you got to look at it as one pot. So you got to look at what you're making in Surge, what you make on your job, whatever other sources or businesses that you may have. That's one pot of income. And you need to make sure that you're investing at least 10% of it in yourself. What do I mean by that, guys? I mean literally in your own self-improvement. See, what you tend not to have skin in the game, you tend not to pay attention. See, that's why we always say it's not a good idea to pay for somebody to join our business, because if they don't pay, then they don't pay attention. See, they don't go as hard as they can. They don't focus as much as they can because they have no skin in the game. It didn't cost them anything. And that's why, 9.9 out of 10 times that you pay for somebody to join, they don't develop and they don't do anything. And so you really gotta get people to have skin in the game. Well, that's the same thing about your own personal improvement. There's a lot of people that are watching this right now. There's a lot of people that aren't, and it's because they don't focus on their own development. Why? Because they don't invest in their own development. Coming up through the years, I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars trying to get better. Books, seminars, webinars, audio tapes, videotapes, weekends. I went and did a Tom Hopkins Academy of Champions weekend. I went and did an Anthony Robbins, Awaken the Giant weekend. I've done all kinds of things over the years to keep working on me. And all those things cost money. The Anthony Robbins thing was a few $1,000s, and that was in the early 90s when even a few $1,000s was a lot of money to pay for a 3-day weekend. But I knew I couldn't afford not to go. And that weekend changed my life because I paid so much for it. I paid so much attention. And really focused and really learned and then read the books he has. And then, see, it's because I invest in me that I value my self-improvement. And so, guys, the first key to being absolutely successful is you. And there'll be, as my mentor once told me, you'll get no greater rate of return on any investment in the world more than you will on investing in yourself. See, that was something my mentor told me. No greater rate of return. I don't care what people say, 10%, 20%, 30%. You'll get no greater rate of return on any investment you'll make in your life than the investment you make in you. And so that's the first commitment you got to make if you want to be a multimillionaire, if you want to be successful. The second one, you got to invest at least 80% of your off time into learning. See, most people are consumers rather than creators. That's just the bottom line. They do just enough work to get their paycheck. They don't do enough to make a difference. They do enough to get a paycheck. See, if you want to be extremely successful, if you want to be you got to do enough to make a difference. And so in order to do that, you got to spend more time learning than you spend being distracted. You really do. So when you're not working, you got to make sure 80% of the time you spend is on learning. See, right now, being quarantined and locked in like most of us are, and most of us have been in for 50-something, I think in the last 50 or so, or 55 days, I've maybe left my home 3 times, one to go to a grocery store and 2 times to go to CVS to get my medication through the drive-thru without even getting out of the car. So that means I spend all my time home. Now, I spend a large percentage of that time working and conference calls corporately and three-way calls with, some leaders and working on different future and projecting and game plans and different. And I spend a certain part of my day working and on the phone. And then the rest of my day, I've got to decide what I'm going to do with. And am I going to watch TV? Am I going to watch movies? Am I going, and so I choose to spend 80% of that time that I'm not working, I try to spend learning. I try to spend reading something. That's how I ran across this article. I'm constantly reading and learning, what's in today's situation, what can I learn to apply to make myself better, to get through what we're going through, to keep my mind active and engaged. And so, guys, you're out there right now, are you spending 80% of your time learning your trade and mastering your business? Are you spending 80% of your time eating, watching TV, watching movies, and hoping that you and things are going to get better on its own? See, you got to control your learning. I heard a billionaire once say, when asked how do you become a billionaire, they said 10,000 hours. They said you got to spend 10,000 hours learning and what you do. See how once you decide how you're going to become a billionaire, you got to spend 10,000 hours learning how to do that. And I thought, wow, that's incredible. I understand why I'm not a billionaire, because I haven't spent 10,000 hours, but I've spent thousands of hours over the 30-something years in this business, and that's why I've had some really good success. And so if I want to ever become a billionaire, then I've got to maximize the hours that I spend continuing to learn that which I don't know. And so you got to do the same, guys. You got to focus your energy and your time. Do not let this become a time that 80% of your time you're not working. You spend entertaining yourself as opposed to educating yourself. That's going to be the difference between, success or not. And listen, guys, let me just say this, because I think sometimes people lose sight of this. This pandemic and resulting financial meltdown that we're almost going through right now is going to shift positions in this country. There are going to be people who were wealthy before this happened that are going to lose their wealth. There are going to be people that were middle class that are going to either figure out a way to become wealthy during this period of time, or are going to lose their middle class status and become poor. And there's going to be people who went into this poor who have no idea what poor really means until they come out of the other side of this pandemic. And the middle class is going to shrink as more and more middle class become poor and a few become rich. See, it's going to shift to a bigger poor, a smaller middle class, and the rich will stay the same in numbers but not the same in people, which means there'll be some new millionaires and then there'll be some old millionaires that won't be millionaires anymore. That's what an economic crisis does. It shifts positions. But the most important position it shifts is the middle class. Right now they're saying that 40% of people who made $40,000 or more have no job anymore. They've lost their job. 40% of people who made $40,000 or more have no job anymore. They were the highest affected. That's the middle class. 40%. And that's just that's in March and April. We're still going through May. We have unemployment filings going up at a rate of 3 million a week. So the class structures are going to shift. You got to decide what shift's going to happen for you. Because there'll be very few people other than the poor that will stay where they are. The middle class will have to make a decision. I'm either going to fight to climb to the level of wealth, or I'm going to fall to a level of poverty. And a lot of that decision will be determined by how much time you invest in learning during this period of time, as opposed to lounging and entertaining yourself. So that's important. You know, Robert Kiyosaki said this third principle, which he said, look, you don't work for money, you work to learn. See, so many people, they just work for money. But the real thing you should be doing is working to learn. You should spend, your downtime learning. So should a great deal of your working time be a learning process. So if I'm spending 80% of my downtime learning, but then what percentage of my work time am I learning? And I spend a huge percentage of my work time learning different principles. Excuse my lighting. Sorry about that. But I somehow rolled my chair and unplugged my lighting, which I typically do. And so guys, as I'm on conference calls and I'm talking to different people, I'm trying to learn how to get better. I'm trying to learn what adjustments and things we should do in these economic times, and how can we continue to combine being safe with being productive. And so it's a process of continuously learning, even in the parts that you're working. Some of you are getting good at the presentation, so you're constantly doing presentations. And listen to me, if you're not constantly doing presentations with new people, you should be constantly practicing the presentation. So you're learning more about your business. You should be spending time not just reading on self-improvement, but read about the industry. Read about some of the projections and forecasts of what's happening in travel, what's happening in business, what's happening with people. Make that a part of your growth process. So not just your off time, but make your work time count as a learning experience as well. Number 4 is don't just learn to entertain yourself, but learn to create more value. What does that mean? That means, guys, learn things you can use, implement to create value. See, knowledge is not power. Knowledge executed, used, is power. And so don't just learn for the sake of learning. Don't read a book to say, I read this new book. What did you take from it and apply to your life? How did it? Now you notice, guys, the first 4 things that I've talked about have to do with self-improvement. Now, I didn't write this article. This article wasn't written just for our business. This is how to become a multi-millionaire anywhere, anyhow. This is some principles that, if that's your goal, regardless of how you intend to do it, here's some things you got to do. So this isn't just Chris talking about Surge. This is what it takes to win, period. And the first 4 things are about self-improvement, learning, knowledge, and execution of that learned knowledge. That's the first 4. And so, guys, don't just learn for entertainment purposes. Don't read just to say you read. Don't watch this class just to say you watched it. Take these things and implement them immediately in your life. so that you get value. See, knowledge learned is worthless if it's not applied. If you don't, it's worthless. And it most likely will be forgotten if it doesn't become a principle that you exercise in your life. So don't learn for entertainment, learn to increase value. Number 5, invest another 10% of your income. So I've already told you where to invest 10% on yourself. Invest another 10%, which means now we're setting aside 20% of our income. Invest another 10% in vehicles that will generate more money. See, a lot of times you hear people talk about multiple streams of income, but they confuse that because they think multiple streams of income means multiple jobs or multiple businesses. And that's not necessarily the case, because I truly do believe to be very successful at something, you got to be focused on that something. And see, I believe once you succeed at that and it becomes lucrative and you make money, then you begin to invest that money in other streams of income that don't necessarily require the same amount of your time as the one thing that gave you the money to invest. See, Bill Gates started Microsoft, and he threw his entire life into Microsoft until he became a billionaire in Microsoft. But he's now invested so much of his billions in so many different other things that he's a billionaire whether you add up his Microsoft stock or anything else that he has. He has multiple streams of income from multiple industries that he didn't build those other industries. He built Microsoft. See, whatever you're building, your goal should become, I would say, proof. For instance, your goal should be, I'm going to build Surge until I become wealthy, and at the same time, I'm going to become Surge proof. What does Surge proof mean? If Surge goes out of business, I'm still wealthy, because I took the wealth from Surge and diversified it into other streams of income. See, he became Microsoft proof at some point, where it wasn't dependent on Microsoft's success for him to be a billionaire. See, that's your goal. And so start to invest in things that generate income but don't require a lot of your time. And start finding things that generate, the stock market generates income. So you can begin to save some of your money in, investments. I'm not going to name them because I'm not a financial advisor and I don't want to take that type of responsibility, but you have things like that that generate income. You have real estate, that you could, have properties that generate income. There's all kind of things you can do that won't necessarily require you to build a business that can generate income. Start putting 10% of your income to the side to invest in things of that nature. They have vehicles that allow you to invest in real estate at fractional. You could take $50 a month and put it into a fund that invests specifically in real estate or gold or other areas that generate income on your money. And so no level is too small anymore for you to invest and have income being generated. At some point, your goal is to have income coming from other sources that's more than even the income coming from you working. So you become, whatever you're doing, proof. That's your objective. Number 6, mindset is everything. And you got to make sure that your motivation is being fueled by the right mentality. And so number 6 says, shift your motivation from getting to giving. And I know you guys have heard me talk about this before. See, you get what you give in life. See, the world gives to the givers, not the takers. And so you got to shift your motivation to giving more than you shift it to getting. See, right now, you should be thinking, what can I give? What can I do right now that helps the maximum number of people? What can I do? What can I focus on? And how hard can I work to help the maximum number of people right now? And when your motivation shifts from what can I get, how can I get the most amount of money, to how can I help the most amount of people, see, that's when you're going to have the drive and motivation to achieve whatever it is you want to do. See, you got to consciously be awake. Consciously be awake about your motivation. Because you truly do get what you give. And so if you're giving people the information to create a thriving business that creates financial stability and help them build legacies to leave to their children's children, guess what you'll get in return? All of the above. If you teach people how to achieve wealth, guess what you'll get? You'll get wealth. If you show people how to create balance in their life, in this journey, so that they're happy along the way, guess what you get? Happiness. See, if you truly understand that law of nature, you never should be focused on what you're going to get. You have to be totally driven by what you're going to give. Number 7 is, it's a unique principle because I think most people think that the strength is in their independence. But the reality is your strength is in openly acknowledging your dependence. See, number 7 is openly acknowledge how dependent you are of other people. Openly acknowledge it. If you want to build a team of people that will loyally go to war to achieve their goals and dreams, and that will follow the direction you're going in, you got to openly acknowledge that you're dependent on them, that you need them to win. See, the position you hold in life, my mentor always taught me this, is in direct proportion to the quality and quantity of service you provide to others. I cannot grow if I cannot provide quality and quantity service to others. And I cannot provide that if people won't let me. If you won't let me help you, I can't win. So I need a huge quantity of people to let me help you win. There's no way around me elevating my life without people. And so I am always cognizant of the fact that I need people. I need people to want to participate. I need people to win. I need people to work hard. I need people to focus. I need to help people. And so I need you to help me help you achieve your goals and dreams. And I need, and I don't even know if I do this enough, but I need to tell you that more. And you need to tell people that more. So that everybody understands our dependence on each other to be successful. You cannot go win alone. Everybody needs help. It was never meant to do alone. There's too many people doing too many things alone that were never meant to be done alone. Going through this life was not meant to be done alone. Raising children was not meant to be done alone. Building a business is not meant to be done alone. Now, am I saying you must be married? No, I'm saying you need help. And you need to seek and admit that help from every source you can to achieve the level of success you want to get. Guys, I mean, relationships are everything. If you don't appreciate and give to your relationships will suffer during this time that you're working hard and focusing and your life's unbalanced. You need relationships to win. And relationships truly are, like bank accounts. You can't take out of them what you don't put in them. And so you got to appreciate your relationships, and you got to nourish them, and you got to put time and energy into them. You got to appreciate every relationship, every kind, for it to yield the returns for you to withdraw from those relationships when you need them. It's so important. So, I am going to, I'm going to break this up, into two parts. And so I'm going to stop at 7, and then I'm going to come back and give you 7 more that I'll record. And at some point this week, we'll put up the additional 7 for you to be able to continue this lesson, have it complete, and apply it immediately to your life. Because that is just what learning should be all about. It's about knowledge applied, execute, not just learning for entertainment. So I hope those first 7 principles that I just talked about, those 7 keys to become a multimillionaire, to achieve wealth in your family, apply them immediately. Start now to take your life to a whole nother level. So thanks for coming to Winners Win this weekend, and look out for part 2 of the 14 steps to how to become a multi-millionaire. See you next time.